Welcome back to New Jersey Now. Senator Hillary Clinton meets a lukewarm reception at the Veterans Foreign Affairs Convention last week as she spoke about the war in Iraq. Clinton wasn't the only presidential hopeful that spoke at the convention. Senators McCain, Obama, and Thompson were also there. With me again is Pete Cammarano, principal at Public Policy Advisors in Trenton, New Jersey. And also here is George Ajjan, founder of Ajjan Associates. Thank you both for sticking around with us in this second segment. Let's talk a little bit about experience versus inexperience. We have Senator Obama kind of riding on the fact that he is experienced, although he doesn't have any presidential experience. Does that make sense? What do we think? Do we believe that he has the experience to be president? Is he?
Absolutely not, in my view. I think he hasn't demonstrated anything in an executive capacity. He's been a state senator. He's been a U.S. senator for a couple of years now, but he hasn't demonstrated any executive experience. And further to that, some of the positions he's coming out with, I read through, for example, some of his foreign policy outline. It's completely pie in the sky, and it just indicates to me that he's not ready for this. And I have to wonder whether his intention all along was to sort of play the good guy in the primary, hoping that he'll be picked as a running mate because he's young enough and he makes an attractive candidate to the Democratic primary electorate. Whether he was really gunning for the top slot, I have to wonder if his plan all along was to position himself for number 2.
I think he has experience, clearly not as much as other candidates in the race, but he does have experience, and he's running a great campaign. He has caught on with the American people. He's really put himself out there. And I do think he has the experience.
Do you think that he has his thumb on the pulse of America? We were talking, he made a comment about arugula in Iowa, and he was talking about the price of arugula when you go to the Whole Foods market, Whole Foods store. A lot of people in Iowa don't go to Whole Foods. They go to the farm stand, they, buy lettuce, and, that's what they do. Does he not have his sights set on really who his voters are?
Every presidential campaign going back for years has had a situation like that. George Bush Sr. didn't know what a scanner in a supermarket was. He thought it was some wild new invention that had been around for years. The question always comes up of presidential candidates, what is the price of milk? He's from Chicago area, Illinois. I mean, it's not unusual for people there to go to a Whole Foods store. On the East Coast here, it's not unusual. In Iowa, it is. Those are mistakes that candidates make. They tend to get blown out of proportion.
I think if Obama's worried about a controversy over arugula, he's getting lucky because the fact is he's a prominent African-American politician. But the fact is his experiences are really have very little to do with the majority of African-Americans in this country. His father was an immigrant from Africa, which is quite different from most African-Americans in this country. Second to that, he grew up basically between Hawaii and Indonesia, where I think his father was a student and whatnot. Then his parents split and he was in Hawaii. So really, I think that's the bigger issue for him that he may face in the future is, how much does he really have a pulse on a core constituency within the Democratic base?
This, the political season right now has changed so much, and a lot of it is because of the internet. We hear about YouTube, and we saw, a video about Hillary Clinton not too long ago, and now we also have this Obama girl that is out there that we're hearing in the news right now. And if you don't know what it is, it's a a female dressed scantily, I can say that, talking about how she loves Barack Obama. Well, his daughter supposedly saw this and was upset and said, "Daddy already has a wife." Do we have to realize that this is just the political culture that we're in, that we're going to get these Obama girls and I'm in love with Obama singing and things like is this the culture now?
This is the culture. It's presidential campaigns meet YouTube. It's unfortunate that his daughter has to be subjected to that, but it's like Rudy Giuliani's daughter, who has on her webpage that she was supporting Barack Obama, became a big news story nationally. Kids have become, unfortunately, part of the campaign. Families have become part of the campaign, and you lose the privacy.
You're talking a little bit about Rudy Giuliani. He was, of course, the mayor here in New York. Does he have the experience to become president?
I don't believe he does.
Well, he's got experience in an executive capacity, which by contrast Obama doesn't have, and he's awfully proud to play that up. You watch the debates.
Absolutely.
When I was mayor of New York, when I was mayor of New York, when I was mayor of New York, and that's an accomplishment. New York's a tough place to govern. You know, but he's got peers in the race. That, you know, Mitt Romney was a governor of Massachusetts. You have lifelong legislators in there, the different senators in the race. So he's got credentials. It's not clear that one candidate in the Republican field has experience that far surpasses the other candidates. So, you know, Rudy's in the playing field.
Rudy is in the playing field.
Definitely.
Now, you brought up Mitt Romney. I have to ask you this. He just kind of endorsed Hillary Clinton in a way, saying that she might be able to get, you know, the Democratic nod. Is this unusual for a Republican to say that a Democrat might get the nod?
I think the Republicans are hoping Hillary gets the nod. I think they're underestimating Hillary. I think she's picked up tremendous support. She has incredible name recognition. And we talk about experience. There's an individual who has been in the White House, not as president, but as first lady, but has lived the day-to-day.
Well, that's an awfully double-edged sword. The fact that she was in the White House as first lady and perhaps overstepped the bounds of what the purview of a first lady is. Come on, Pete.
Come on.
But is being a first lady experience?
It's experience in the sense it gives her an understanding of how the White House operates. She was a very active first lady. She and President Clinton acted as a team in some capacity, very close. She's a U.S. Senator. I mean, she is someone who has distinguished herself in a lot of different ways. And I think Mitt Romney and the others want to put it out there, and I think they should be careful what they wish for.
Well, I think you're correct. I'm not suggesting that Hillary doesn't have any credentials. I think the issue there is that she's not her husband. She certainly lacks her husband's charisma, however much I, as a Republican, certainly disagree with many of his policies. He had a certain charisma that attracted people, and I think she lacks that. And yes, she has high name recognition, but she also has, you know, very high negative name recognition.
All you got to do is mention Hillary, and people know who you're talking about.
But will
Politicians
she?
will kill for
But that's polarized.
But will she get the vote in the middle states, in those states that are so important, the states that talk about lettuce as opposed to arugula?
I think that remains to be seen, but I believe she will.
She believes she will.
Well, I think if you look at the way the map has broken down for the last two elections, you know, it's been a handful of coastal states that have gone primarily to the Democrats, and I mean, the center of the country is almost pure red. If you look at that red-blue map statewide,
Yeah, you're playing on the
you know,
coast,
you're looking at the Electoral College, and that's determined by state. So whether there's 3 people in Iowa that vote for Hillary in the general election, you know, or there's one shy of 50%. The electoral votes are going to go to the Republican.
But she does need to get through the primary.
Absolutely.
Now, are we going to see this kind of intense political banter, all the candidates coming together until the primaries? I mean, this electoral season has seemed very, very long at this point so far, and we've got a long way to go still.
Yeah, I mean, I like politics, but I'm already sick of it. Unfortunately, it's become a 2-year campaign.
Right.
And I think, you know, there's just an oversaturation for people.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see because of the primary season is so front-loaded now. And then there's a big gap after, you know, there's a couple of key primaries in the beginning, then there's a big gap. You know, what happens there? Is there still, are candidates who don't do as well as maybe they expected still going to have the ability to raise money in that gap? Are there other things that are going to come out, other negatives that are going to come out? It's hard to say, but we're kind of in uncharted territory here with respect to the schedule.
Only time will tell, and
Absolutely.
we have enough time to tell, hopefully. All right, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Well, next, a record for New Jersey, 56 women running for office. Why some say this is still not enough. Coming up on New Jersey Now.